the Bloodline is finally making some big moves, so we'll see what's going on there. We'll also check out what's new for CM Punk, Tiffany Stratton, and more. Starting things off with the Bloodline and the big moves they're making. Solo Sikoa has taken command and led the Bloodline since the Smackdown program following WrestleMania 40 in April. Since then, Solo has progressed from Renegade Enforcer to temporary Tribal Chief to full-time Tribal Chief. During this journey, he also introduced many new members to the group, including Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu, and Tonga Lao. But the main point of discussion was how Solo Sikoa's rule as Tribal Chief has no weight at all to Roman's, because Roman has the Bloodline bearing all of the significant positions in the organization, compared to Solo Sikoa, who has been running the show for about 5 months and hasn't had a single championship added to the Bloodline during his leadership. So if you look at Roman's first 5 months as Tribal Chief, compared to Solo's first 5 months, there's absolutely no debate there. Roman had the superior start. However, the Bloodline has some huge possibilities coming up in the near future, which might flip the script if they take full use of them. On the July 26th broadcast of Smackdown, the Bloodline became the #1 contenders for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Jacob Fatu once again secured the #1 contenders match. This is a narrative that WWE has been actively promoting over the last few weeks, that when things appear to be going down a nightmarish path for the Bloodline, Jacob Fatu will step up, turn things completely around, and save the day. And that was once again the case here in the #1 Contenders Tag Team Championship fight. Without Jacob Fatu, who knows what the Bloodline's fate is in that #1 Contenders match? Maybe they won't win it at all. The motif has been that Jacob is the group's saving grace, which will most likely continue here in the near future. What exactly is the purpose of this narrative with Jacob Fatu? No one knows just yet. But the early idea is that it could be a possible setup for Jacob's babyface turn. Fans online and live crowds have already been blown away by Jacob and his great talents in the ring. So many fans believe it's just a matter of time before Jacob really catches fire and gets cheered even more. So it could be the end of the Jacob Fatu saving grace myth. But now, mostly because to Jacob, the Bloodline is the #1 contender for the tag team titles, securing a very close date with DIY. DIY's title reign has only just begun, but it is already in serious peril, with Jacob and the Bloodline pursuing the titles. And given how heavily WWE is pushing the Jacob narrative, it wouldn't be unexpected at all if Jacob single-handedly wins the tag team titles and returns them to the Bloodline. Even though it would be excellent for the lineage, it might also be the beginnings of some real friction between Jacob and Solo. Solo would probably claim full responsibility for bringing back the tag team titles to the Bloodline, while Jacob would probably look at Solo side-eyed because he knows it was him who did all the hard work, not actually Solo. Bringing the tag team titles back to the group might cause such a major division in Solo's lineage. It has also been established that Solo is more nasty and self-centered than the Roman Reigns we've seen in the last several years. Even though he was a heel, Roman had some respect for his family and enormous respect for the elders of the family, always making sure to do things in a courteous manner when it came to family concerns and traditions. But we don't see much of Solo Sikoa. He doesn't really respect the elders or family tradition, and that's very obvious based on how he got the Tribal Chief post in the first place. So those are the main differences between the two Tribal Chiefs. Roman was successful because he had that degree of overall respect there, and Solo Sikoa doesn't seem to be quite there. So that's something to remember. The way Solo acts and handles his business may just be what keeps his Bloodline from attaining ultimate success. But, in any case, the following 2 weeks will be jam-packed with opportunity. The Bloodline Solo Sikoa is the #1 contender for the WWE Undisputed title. The Bloodline is also the #1 contender for the tag team titles. So everything is looking good for them right now. But can they pull off all of these massive wins and reclaim all of their titles? That is the big question there. It'll also be a fascinating direction if Jacob performs his part and wins the tag team belts, but Solo Sikoa fails to return the WWE title to the group. Having Jacob succeed and Solo fail could be an interesting approach, so it'll be a crucial few weeks here for the Bloodline. CM Punk's return to WWE is still hard to accept, given his terrible past with the corporation. But Punk recently spoke with Denise Salcedo, and he opened about the exact moment when he thought he could make a return to WWE. CM Punk revealed to her that it wasn't something he was ever wanting to do. and it wasn't even on his mind. However, he believes that Vince McMahon's departure from WWE was the first piece of the puzzle that truly paved the way for his return to WWE. Punk claimed that he didn't want people to take his words out of context for a headline, but that the issue wasn't with Punk himself or with Vince McMahon. There was just a lot of history there. So with one of them being removed from the picture, it opened the door for the other to walk in. Punk has previously stated that he visited Vince McMahon shortly after the 2023 Survivor Series event and that Vince said it was glad to have him back home. But they haven't really spoken since CM Punk has also been in the spotlight recently for his current WWE contract. PW Insider reports that Punk allegedly signed a 3-year deal in November 2023, meaning that he's under contract with WWE until November 2026. However, reports claim that WWE has already approached CM Punk with talks about getting an extension done, so if they reach an agreement there, CM Punk really could be in WWE for the long haul, way past his original late 2026 expiration date. There was also an update on Tiffany Stratton and her Money in the Bank briefcase a few weeks ago on Smackdown. Bayley violently crushed Tiffany Stratton's Money in the Bank contract, with the huge notion that this moment was done in order to appropriately set up Tiffany Stratton receiving her own personalized Money in the Bank briefcase, following the loss of the old case. Fans wondered if Tiffany would still carry that one about, or if the new one was immediately ready to go. So it looks like we now have some answers to those pressing questions. On the July 26th episode of Smackdown, Tiffany Stratton presented the beaten and taped-up version of the Money in the Bank briefcase. However, it is also crucial to know that the July 26th episode of Smackdown was not televised live but was actually pre-taped on July 19th because WWE was visiting Japan. So it explains why she didn't have the new case immediately on the July 26th edition of Smackdown. Tiffany is still lugging the broken-down case with her on her recent tour to Japan. So it appears like they're waiting for another live episode of Smackdown to fully reveal Tiffany's bespoke case. There is no rumored date for the reveal of Tiffany's case, but many are guessing that it is most likely before or shortly after SummerSlam. So be on the lookout for Tiffany's new case, which might come any week now. What are your opinions on today's stories? Leave your comments below, subscribe with all notifications turned on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys. After barely making the news in 2024, WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan has resurfaced as a major topic of conversation, and not just due of his encounter with Detroit Lions head coach Dan Campbell. Instead, it's because Hogan spoke in a pivotal spot at the Republican National Convention earlier this month, just before Donald Trump accepted the Republican nomination for President of the United States, and enthusiastically praised Trump along the way. Since then, other wrestlers have responded on Hogan's speech, some positively and some adversely. Former WWE performers Mandy Rose and Tino Sabatelli were the next to speak out about it on their Power Alphas with Mandy and Sabby podcast last week, with Rose emphasizing on the publicity Hogan's comments generated. It obviously created a lot of buzz. Rose added, "It's all over the headlines and news." Also, the entire audience chanted USA. The crowd chanted USA. Rose and Sabatelli also covered the attempted assassination of Trump right before the convention, but Rose returned the focus to Hogan's speech, emphasizing how his previous WWE superstardom had made him suitable for such a position. "It's kind of crazy," Rose explained. "I believe Hulk Hogan is an excellent example, not just because he was a WWE ambassador, but also because he was such a prominent persona back in the day. Hulk Hogan was well known even among non-WWE fans. Not everyone knows everybody. You have to be a huge WWE fan to know most of them, but you've got to know Hulk Hogan.